Great. So here we are for this Cancer new moon, and we're just going to start off by what is the new moon? Astronomically, when the Earth, the moon, and the sun line up, the moon is directly between the Earth and the sun. And so when we say the new moon, it's really what we see is the moon's shadow. So for a full moon, we would actually see the moon in the sky, but because it's being reflected, the sunlight is being reflected on the moon, which is dark. But when we have a new moon, we just see the shadow of the moon. So you can't really see it, but it's still in the sky. It's just dark. And the moon goes through 8 phases. And so what I usually do is I usually celebrate the new moon and the full moon each month. And it takes about 29 and a half days to complete the 8 phases. So 29 and a half days each, that's why I say each month we get a new moon and a full moon. So that's the astronomy part of it. Mystically, and this is kind of why we're gathering, mystically, the new moon or the moon in general represents our emotional bodies. So the moon is all about the womb, intuition, creation, where things are birthed, our imaginations, that dark part of ourselves that sometimes we get lost in and we don't always want to share and explore with others, but it's the place where it's just pure creativity. So this is the time, the new moon is a time to set new goals, new intentions, new ideas. It's a time for sowing seeds. That way, when it comes time for the full moon, we're ready to harvest all the things that we planted during the new moon. Maybe I'll go to the next slide. Okay, so for this new moon, we're talking about the moon in Cancer. And Cancer is an energy that talks about our attachments or our roots or our past selves, our attachments to our family, our friends. So our roots are nurturing waves flowing outward to heal the world. For Cancer energy, it is ruled by the moon. So the moon, again, being that energy of creation, emotion, feeling, intuition, perceptiveness. Cancer is also water signs. And water signs and Cancer energy, these are some of the traits that are typically assigned to Cancerian people. They tend to be nurturing, a counselor, supportive, generous, intuitive, perceptive, highly sensitive, loyal, committed, attached to home. So home being their physical dwelling or just like feeling like they need to create a home wherever they go. Emotional depth and security, seeking through rooting or nesting. So when we think about Cancer energy, symbolically, the Cancer is represented by the crab. And the crab carries their home on their back wherever they go until they are ready for a new home, right? So when we think about Cancer, it's important for Cancerians to feel like they have their home because that's what they're attached to. They need something that's going to make them feel secure, make them feel like they have everything they need at any given moment, right? Because when we're at home, oftentimes we can find the things that we need or the things that make us feel good, make us feel safe and secure. Like every sign, there's a positive sign, and there's also a shadow energy of that sign. And I don't like to say negative energy of that sign. It's just what exists in the shadows. Some things that can be not as flattering or not something that we are proud of per se, but they're just a part of who we are, our shadow. So Cancer shadow, it can tend to be controlling if they don't get the things that they feel that make them feel secure. It can be manipulative. It can be passive aggressive, moody. And when I say moody, thinking about the moon changes signs every 3 days. So the moon itself changes a lot. And since Cancer is ruled by the moon, that is why we say Cancers can be moody. Clings to comforts. Again, the crab carries their home with them wherever they go. So sometimes it can be difficult for Cancers to accept or want to change. And codependency. They can feel sometimes that they need to have somebody or depend on nurturing somebody else, that they end up in these relationships where they kind of lose themselves. So this is just overall general Cancer energy. I do want to say that What I love about astrology is that it can be a tool for reflection, but also these are just, again, very general traits that can be assigned to cancers. And so it's important that we kind of know the energy of this new moon that we're working with, the energy of it and the shadow of it. So for this new moon in Cancer, again, the sun, and since the sun and the moon are lined up, we are now in Cancer season, and the moon is also in Cancer. So the important thing about Cancers is that, like I said, they have an emotional depth, very intuitive and perceptive, highly sensitive. So Cancer, the mantra for Cancer is I feel. What's important about this is that feeling is something that oftentimes when we go outside, we live in a very logical world. So it's very analytical. It's all about strategy. And when we talk about our feelings, it's not always taken seriously. But what the power of Cancer is that it reminds us of my body is not lying to me. What my body is telling me, what I feel is valid. And sometimes we have to remember that what we feel is valid, that our body is not going to lie to us, and that we have to trust those instincts or trust our intuition when we feel that something's right or when we feel that something's not aligned with us, right? So, with this new moon in Cancer, change is afoot. But like I said, Cancer doesn't always like change. They like their comfort, their security. So during this time, we want to remember that it's okay to be comfortable, but it's also okay to set those comforts down and allow yourself to grow. Because with new opportunities, we have to feel a little bit uncomfortable in order to go off and do something new. Here I have invigorating heart vision. Again, coming back to that, how do I feel? A question, I was taking a herbalism course. And for this class, our teacher asked us, how does your heart feel? What is a heart-centered life for you? And those are types of questions, first off, I had never really been asked, right? So what does it feel like to live with your heart? Do you even know what it feels like to be in a heart-centered space? Like, what does that mean for you? These are questions to explore as we're in this new moon in Cancer, starting with what is my vision for my life and how can that vision support my heart? Because in this society, we tend to focus on how can I make money? How can I make it fast? There's nothing wrong with money, but there's also a way that you can make money that aligns with what feels good for your heart. So in this Cancer new moon, we want to invest in what makes us feel whole and rejuvenated. Cancer is a nurturing energy. In astrological herbalism, Cancer rules the stomach. So a nourishing meal, something that makes you feel rejuvenated and full and loved, something that makes you feel whole. Those are the things that we should be investing our time in and the intentions that we should be looking for this new moon in Cancer. Assess where you become comfortable and need to switch things up. Again, it's really easy to get comfortable. Comfortability is something that we all desire, I think, at some point. Who doesn't want to be comfortable? But it can come to a point where we need to just kind of push ourselves a little bit and get out of our own way. Like I said, the crab will change its shell. So sometimes maybe it's time for us to change into something new or go to a new place or experience something that maybe we were fearful of, but again, it makes our heart feel good. You decide what is worthy of your time, your love, and your energy, and you also get to decide when to walk away. That is the power that you have when you tap into what feels good to you, what makes you feel whole, what makes you feel rejuvenated. When you actually take the time to ask yourself, how do I feel? When you pause and ask yourself, how do I feel? In the moment, when you're in conflict, when you are doing something that makes you extremely happy, it's important that we remember those good feelings, but also the times that we don't feel good. That way we can learn and navigate the world in a way that supports our well-being. And the last thing about this new moon in Cancer is how you feel is valid, but holding on to old feelings can stunt your own transformation. When we tell ourselves these old narratives about, um, well, I got into a relationship and I got hurt, so I'm not going to try that again. Or I tried to buy a house one time, but the realtor gave me a bad deal, so I'm not going to try to buy a house again. How we feel in that moment is valid, but holding on to those old stories of this happened to me once, so I'm not going to ever try that again, stunts our ability to transform because who knows in the next situation how we will handle it because we've grown from that moment. So, recognizing how you feel, but also allowing yourself to release those old feelings so that you can start on something new. So, this is the reading for New Moon in Cancer, and we are going to go into. I'm going to stop sharing. Oops, I did not mean to stop sharing.